I didn't go to him for comfort. I didn't even go to be seen. I just needed somewhere to fall apart where no one would ask me why. And maybe that's why it happened the way it did. Quiet, slow, and nothing like I thought I needed, until I finally let go. Before we begin, if you've been here before and these stories speak to you, don't forget to like and subscribe. It's the easiest way to support the channel and make sure you don't miss the next one. And if you're new here, welcome. I hope you enjoy this one. Let's begin. I gave him too much, and I knew it. I just didn't want to believe it. That was the first thing I said after walking through his door. I hadn't meant to say it. I hadn't meant to come here at all. But when everything fell apart tonight, and I mean really fell apart, I found myself driving without thinking, and somehow his street was where I ended up. He didn't ask why I was crying on his porch at midnight. He didn't say a word when I walked past him and sat down at the same kitchen table I remembered from being too young to reach it. He just put water on the stove like always and waited until I was ready. That sentence came out before I even touched the tea. Now it sat there, cooling, untouched, steeped in everything I didn't know how to explain. He sat across from me with that same calm that used to make me feel like the world wasn't falling apart, even when it was. I tried to hold it in, but the silence made it worse. The walls, the mug, even the little tick of the kitchen clock, it all felt too steady, like the room was waiting for me to unravel. He didn't say anything, and that made it worse too. I let him say all the right things, I muttered, like I didn't know what he wanted. I ran my hands through my hair, hoping the movement would distract from the way my chest was tightening, but it didn't. It just reminded me that his cologne was still clinging to me, like a reminder I didn't want. I let myself believe it meant something. I was wrong. Mark finally stood, not abruptly, not even with sympathy. He moved without a sound. He walked to the cabinet, pulled out a second mug, and refilled the kettle like he wasn't going to let my mess take up the whole room. I stared at the table. The surface was scratched in places I remembered. There was still a little chip near the edge from when I dropped a glass during one of those awkward family dinners. The familiarity made it worse. I felt like I didn't belong here. But somehow, I also didn't want to leave. When he returned with the tea, I couldn't meet his eyes. I just whispered, "I'm sorry. I shouldn't have come here." He crouched beside me instead of answering, placed one hand gently on my shoulder, no pressure, nothing more. My whole body tensed at first, not because it was wrong, but because it felt too kind. And I didn't deserve kind right now, but I didn't move away. I closed my eyes. For a second, that turned into something longer. Not rest, not comfort, just stillness I hadn't let myself feel in weeks. When I finally looked at him, I meant to explain. I meant to give him a reason for showing up here like this. All I said was, I didn't know where else to go. The tea had gone cold by the time I noticed it. I hadn't touched it. Neither had he. We were still sitting in the same places, the same air, the same silence. His hand had left my shoulder a while ago, but the stillness stayed, not on my skin, somewhere in the room like the space between us still remembered it. I could hear the creak of the old refrigerator, the soft tick of the clock. My heartbeat wasn't pounding anymore, but it wasn't settled either. I hated how small I felt, how familiar that feeling was. He finally stood, not quickly, quietly. His chair scraped against the tile as he moved, and the sound made me flinch more than I meant to. "The guest room's still made up," he said, almost like he was telling the clock, not me. "If you want to lie down." I nodded but didn't move. He didn't push. He started to walk away, and that's when something inside me pulled. Not loud, not needy. That tightness behind the ribs when someone you didn't realize you depended on starts to walk away. I reached out and touched his arm, not to stop him, not even firm enough to hold. Just a pause. He paused, looked down. I felt ridiculous immediately, too dramatic, too exposed, but he didn't move away. I kept my hand there for another second, maybe two, then let go. "Will you stay?" I asked, not looking at him. He didn't answer right away. I heard the hesitation in his breath, barely audible, but there. "Not long," I added. "Just a minute, that's all." He finally nodded. Then he pulled out the chair again, not across from me this time, but beside me, not touching, not crowding. Closer, present. I stared at the floor. He stared at nothing. We didn't say a word, and still it felt like something had shifted. Not big, not sudden, but enough. I leaned back slightly in the chair, pressing my palms flat against my thighs, trying to quiet the part of me that didn't know how to sit still anymore. "It's quiet here," I said, almost without thinking. He didn't respond, but I could feel him listening. We didn't say anything for a long time. The room felt like it was holding its breath, not quiet in a hollow way, but in the kind that settles over your shoulders and lets you breathe for the first time in hours. I hadn't touched my tea in ages. I didn't think he had either. But neither of us moved to change that. He sat far enough away to give me space, but close enough that a slight shift would have closed the space between us. I didn't shift, at least not on purpose, but at some point I leaned back in the chair. I turned slightly to rest my elbow on the armrest and my shoulder angled toward his. It wasn't a move. It wasn't even conscious. It was gravity, maybe, or relief. He noticed. I could tell from the way his body went still. Not tense, not uncomfortable, aware. I let my head tilt slightly in his direction, not enough to land anywhere, but allowing the weight of the night to carry me there. "I keep replaying it," I said, my voice low and tired. "Everything I missed, everything I let happen." He didn't interrupt. He didn't try to tell me I was wrong. That was something I didn't realize I needed until it didn't happen. I wasn't stupid, I added, almost to myself. I wanted to believe it wasn't what it was. He let out a slow breath through his nose. Not agreement, not sympathy. Something quieter than both. "I think I knew," I said. I didn't want to ruin it by naming it. He glanced at me, but I wasn't looking. I was staring at the floor, or maybe nothing at all. I didn't want his face. I needed the space. A minute passed, maybe more, and then, without planning to, I shifted slightly in his direction. Not a fall. Not a collapse. My shoulder happened to meet his for a second. Nothing more. I didn't look at him. Didn't explain. I let it happen. He didn't move away. That silence between us, the one that used to feel like shame, started to shift. It didn't feel empty anymore. It felt like permission, like I didn't have to fill it with excuses or apologies. We sat like that for a while. Nothing dramatic, nothing spoken. The kind of stillness that doesn't ask anything of you. My eyes drifted shut, not from sleep, from weight, from the quiet finally catching up to me. I wasn't trying to get closer. I wasn't asking for anything. I needed someone to not leave. And for once, he didn't. I don't know how long I'd been lying there, but when I opened my eyes, he was already watching me. He didn't look away, didn't shift or clear his throat or pretend he hadn't been staring. He just stayed like that, completely still, completely focused. And I didn't look away either. There was no smile, no invitation, but the room felt different. He felt different. Or maybe I did. Maybe something in me had finally stopped pretending to need more time. The space between us didn't feel respectful anymore. It felt unfinished. I sat up, slow, not cautious, and let my legs turn toward him. He mirrored the movement. Just a little. Just enough. I reached for him. Not his hand, his face. And when my fingers grazed the edge of his jaw, the quiet broke apart like glass. He didn't say a word when I leaned in. He didn't have to. Our mouths met without hesitation, not soft, not uncertain. It was the kind of kiss that rewrites memory, the kind that doesn't ask for permission because it already knows the answer. He tasted like everything I'd tried to forget, like safety and danger wrapped in the same breath. His hand cupped the side of my neck, and when my body pressed into his, he didn't flinch. He pulled me closer. I moved into his lap like it was where I'd always belonged. My knees pressed in closer, closing the space between us. The table pressed into my back, but I didn't care. I wasn't thinking about comfort. I was thinking about more. He kissed like he knew I needed to lose myself in someone, and I kissed him like I didn't care who found me there. His hands moved slowly at first, along my waist, up my spine, around my sides like he was tracing something he didn't want to forget. I could feel his breath at my shoulder, then my throat, then lower. His shirt bunched under my hands, but I didn't stop to pull it. I wasn't focused on layers, just warmth, just closeness. My palms flattened over him, searching for something solid. He shifted beneath me and I adjusted, my body holding tighter to his. We weren't careful anymore. We weren't even speaking. It was all breath and pressure and permission. He kissed down the side of my neck again, slower this time, like he wanted to memorize the sound I made when I tilted into it. When he lifted me slightly, I moved with him. My legs tightened. My mouth found his again, hungrier now, more uneven, more real. Nothing about it felt rehearsed. It felt like surrender with my eyes open, and I didn't want it to stop. I lost track of the rhythm, of how long we moved like that. Time collapsed around every shift, every stifled sound, every breath I couldn't catch. My back arched without meaning to. His grip responded in kind, the way we fit, weighted and urgent, like something that had waited too long. I didn't feel like a woman unraveling. I felt like someone arriving. My hands clutched at his shoulders, then his jaw, then slid into his hair like I could steady myself there. My breath was coming too fast. His was in my ear. I couldn't tell what came from him or from me anymore. Every nerve in me was awake, every part of me reaching, pulling, opening. And when he pressed his forehead to mine, I let out a sound I didn't know I'd been holding. There was no edge, no line, no reason to slow down. We were past the point of wondering what it meant. I gave in first. His name was there, in the breath I couldn't hold. I held tighter, pressed my mouth to his shoulder, arms to his back. I didn't want space. I didn't want time. I just wanted to stay inside that second, like I could stretch it longer by not speaking. Because in that moment, I wasn't doubting or asking. I let go, and he was still there. That was the moment I stopped holding back. Some moments don't need explaining, just a look, a hand, a decision you don't take back. Be honest. Do you wish you were there too? If you were, what would you be doing? Tell me in the comments. I'm reading. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss what's next. Thanks for watching.